How to make chocolate chip cookies. First, you're going to start by preheating the oven to 375. The ingredients you'll need is a bag of chocolate chips, 2 large eggs, 3/4 cups of brown sugar, 3/4 cups of sugar, 2 1/4 cups flour, half a stick of butter, 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. You'll want to use unsalted butter so you'll have more control over the final product. What you'll need to do is cut the butter into small dices and put it in a microwave-safe bowl because we're going to need to soften the butter. Put the butter into a microwave. Then what you'll do is set the timer for 30 seconds. Then put the power on half. And at this point, you're going to want to keep an eye on the butter to make sure that it does not melt. You'll start to notice the butter getting softer, and it may melt a little bit. That's okay. We just want to make sure we don't end up with a bowl of melted butter. This right here looks perfect. Make sure to use this kind of scoop when measuring dry ingredients. Never this kind. This is for liquid. Also, level off your dry ingredients. The next thing we'll be doing is combining the baking soda to the flour. Also, at this stage, we want to combine our salt as well. So what you want to do is give this a good mix. Make sure you mix this thoroughly because you want the baking soda and salt incorporated all the way through the flour. For mixing, we'll have two options. The electric mixer, which is the most convenient but maybe a little too expensive for you. You can also use a whisk. This is very cheap. You can find them at the Dollar Tree. Because we're making cookies, we're going to use the creamy method. This involves mixing the sugars with the fats. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add the butter to the bowl. Now we're going to add the sugar. Also, we're going to add the brown sugar at this time. Next, we'll mix. You'll want to set the mixer speed to low. For this mixer, it's number 1. If you don't start slow at this stage, you could fling sugar around the entire kitchen. Now you're going to want to mix it till it gets to a sandy texture. This is what we're looking for. Now we're going to add the eggs to the mixture, but never directly to the bowl. What we're going to want to do instead is crack the eggs into a separate bowl and check to make sure there's no broken eggshells. Now will be the time to get those out. Next, we're going to want to scrape the sides of the bowl pretty well, and then we're going to add 1 egg at a time. Mix it until you can no longer see the egg and it starts to become smooth. Then you will going to add the second egg, and at this time you're going to add the vanilla extract. Once again, you're going to mix until smooth. This will take between 30 seconds and a minute. When the mixture becomes smooth like this, we're going to move on to the next step, adding the dry ingredients. But we don't want to add them all at once, otherwise we'll make a huge mess. Instead, add them in batches. Here I did 3 batches. And what you'll see is at the end, it kind of looks a little bit crumbly. And it simply, all you have to do is just press the dough together and it'll look perfect. Now that the cookie dough is made, we're going to add the chocolate chips. But we don't want to use the mix anymore. Instead, we're going to mix by hand. We're just going to fold it over into itself until all the chocolate chips are well incorporated. Now we're going to lubricate the pan. You can either use a spray or you can use parchment paper, which I like better because you don't have to clean the pan when you're done. Now there's 2 ways to move the cookies to the pan. One is a portion scoop. The other is you can use 2 spoons if you don't have a portion scoop. This is the way with 2 spoons. So what you're going to do is you're going to get a scoop and you're going to get a nice size, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to press the dough between both spoons, and that's how you do it with the spoon method. The portion scoop is much easier. All you have to do is scoop and squeeze and you're done. Now we're going to put the cookies in our preheated oven and we're going to go set the timer for 13 minutes. If you have leftover cookie dough, you can just portion them out and put them in a Tupperware container and put them in the freezer. All that's left is to pour yourself a glass of ice cold milk and enjoy.